but we don't show prep. So, so he had no idea.
I just barely make it in.
I'm sure you can tell, but we don't show.
I mean, let's put the cards down on the table here.
Miami Hurricanes, yeah. You know the name already. It's Mercy. Ha ha. It's a 6-rig Kane show. Can't forget the name though. Got Jazz, Blue, Vish, and DJ break the game code. Ain't no changing them, ain't no breaking them. Real put alive from the Hard Rock Stadium. Ball 14 for the orange and green. We see the 6-rig champs. It's more than a dream. This is life on the field. Beyond 100 yards, a hurricane that's never still put a damage to your squad. The 6-rig Kane show. The 6-rig Kane show. The 6 Rings Kane show. You know.
What's wrong with us? Seriously.
What's wrong with us? We're Miami Hurricanes fans.
Welcome to the 6 Rings Kane Show, a show dedicated to Miami Hurricane sports, featuring the legendary Larry Bluestein, Jazz Santana, Vish, and Danny Gillette. Let's go Canes.
Let's go Canes. That is exactly what it's all about today.
It's a good day, Jazz. It's a good day.
How about the Miami Hurricanes, though, huh? How about the Miami Hurricanes? Listen, it was tough sledding there for a while, and having a freshman quarterback playing against one of the best defenses in the country, and this is a tough football program, man. I know we've been saying it ad nauseum at this point, but it's a tough football team, man. They came through. They played. I mean, their asses off. That defense was absolutely incredible, and the Canes win, baby. The Canes win, and I think that everybody's pretty excited about that. There's still some some question marks, of course, and some things moving forward. Look, the ACC is crazy, man.
Yeah,
he's crazy because we saw
it went into North Carolina and won. Like,
yeah. Well, 1-5 team beat an undefeated team last night, number 10 team in the country. Now we play that. Well, now they're 2-5. That 2-5. I mean, this is crazy.
Yeah, yeah. And we talked about this on the main show that once you get into major conference play, everyone's got some dudes, and if you don't show up and play well, you're going to find yourself in a tight game. Then anything can happen. That's what. That's how we lost to Georgia Tech. Like, if we could have that game over, we'd probably win. But, despite all the stuff with the kneeling and all that, like, we're in a tight game with Georgia Tech, who's not necessarily a good team, but they got some dudes, and we'll see for next week. Virginia's got some dudes, too. And that's why, North Carolina screwed around a little bit, found themselves in a game, and then, it gets to the end of a game. Stuff happens. And we saw that with the Canes yesterday. And finally, it bounced the Canes' way, despite the ACC officials doing their best to hand Clemson 9 points in a 17-17 game. Just egregious again. But the Canes overcame it. Like you said, we've been talking about this. This team is a little bit different. Like, we're still not there yet from a talent standpoint, from a lot of other things, that program building and progress. But attitude-wise, even after the Georgia Tech game, I think we were both on the same page of this is not last year's team. This team is not going to quit. And even the North Carolina game lost because, frankly, made a bunch of mistakes and got beat. You get beat sometimes. Again, we're not there yet in terms of just being unbeatable. But the effort was there. The energy was there. And today, every excuse you can make in the world to quit. Backup quarterbacks in there, like you said, true freshmen. A lot of calls went against them and just didn't quit. Kept fighting and fighting and fighting and pull the game out. This is a team that's getting there mentally, and you can see a bright future on the horizon.
The recipe was there, right? The recipe was there for disaster last night. Just the bottom line, right? Like, it was all we had all the cards, against us. We've got to start a freshman quarterback. We've got some of our top defensive players out. We've got 2 running backs that didn't even dress. Obviously, Mark Fletcher, we kind of knew about a little more, but
Looks like we lost Jazz there. So I'll try to keep the show going while we wait for Jazz to reappear. But yeah, I was talking about the running backs. Obviously, Parrish was a big miss, and it fell on AJ Allen and Don Chaney to carry the load. And I'll pass it back to Jazz now to continue.
yeah, I don't know what the hell happened there. But yes, as I was saying about the running backs, I heard you mention Don Chaney. No Henry Parrish, no Mark Fletcher, obviously. So you're going with Don Chaney and AJ Allen and Brashard Smith, right? All 3.
It was a good wrinkle. Yeah, obviously paid off in a big way.
I think that's something that Clemson maybe did not expect at the beginning, and he gassed him for that 80-yard touchdown, which thank God the ball bounced.
I mean, well, also Jacoby just chasing that play down. There's like a lot of players don't run behind the play like that. He chased it all the way to the goal line. That's why he's there to pick that up. What an effort.
That was huge. That was huge. Don Chaney ran the ball real hard. And so did AJ Allen. I mean, AJ Allen was that, playmaker of the game at the end, man, scoring that touchdown and then the 2-point conversion. The stats may not show that he ran really well, but as a whole, that to be down those 2 running backs and run for 211 yards against, as you mentioned, Vish, previously on Twitter, the number 1 run defense in the ACC and one of the top defenses in the country. That was huge. That was big. So I'm really proud of this team because you saw a lot of other guys step up. You saw the mental toughness. You saw them, not get down. And look, and I got to give props to, I know a lot of people are not going to like this because it was frustrating at the beginning and we heard some boo birds, right? But you got to give props to, I think, Shannon Dawson for, I know this is not the popular opinion, but I'm going to give him props because I think he was able to manage Emory Williams correctly throughout the whole entire game, loosened up the reins towards the end of the game. And you saw that Emory Williams kept his poise, kept his confidence throughout the whole game. And I think that even when he made that mistake on that, on that interception, you still saw him kind of come back and not really lose his confidence. And they did manage it for him earlier, right? A lot of screen passes, a lot of short routes, hitches, out routes, things like that. They didn't really go down the field a lot. When they started doing that a little bit more, you saw Kobe Young make some big plays. I know he had that one drop. He had that one drop on that deep route. But aside from that, man, he threw the ball up there and Kobe was going to go get it, right? And Brashard Smith had some nice plays, even X. Some of the other guys really look good. They look good, and I got to give props to Coach Dawson for the type of play. That's the hardest game he's probably ever had to call right there. And he did say that as well. So I got to give him props as well.
Well, I'll disagree a little bit. I thought in the first half we threw way too much. And it was very, like you said, it was managing the quarterback. So it was all short. And I know people were getting frustrated. We should just run the ball. But in the first half, we had 16 passes and 8 runs. Like, that's just not, we shouldn't be doing that even if TVD is in. In the second half, though, he made the adjustment. We had 30 runs and 14 passes, and that's the split. Because, like you said, Clemson's defense is good. Like, it's going to be a grind, and that's why I was so impressed with that running backs, because they weren't getting 10 yards. It was like 3-4 yards, just tough yardage, but they eventually wore Clemson's defense down. That was always the way we were going to win this game, even if TVD was playing, because even with TVD, their defense is too good. You're not going to put up 40 points or something on Clemson. You're not going to win that kind of game. It was always going to be a grind of a game. And I thought in the second half, even when we fell behind, we leaned into that. And that's when they had to pull it. Because once we started checking those 4 and 5 yards, because they started wearing down, they had to bring their safeties up. That's when we got the long on the outside, which, like, Emory threw like 4 or 5 like perfect balls in a row. At that point, he, like you said, his confidence came up. But it was also simpler reads then because the defense was having to stack against the run. So I thought in the second half, we did a really good job of, okay, we're going to run the ball. And if it gets us 4 yards, we're going to take the 4 yards and just keep the time of possession was dominated by Miami because of that. Wore them down completely.
And I'll take that. Like, I'll take that, right? 4 yards, and now you got a third and short. That's exactly what you want to do. That's exactly
right. I thought in the first half we didn't do that. We kept
we
throwing, but the second half, again, credit to Dawson, made those adjustments because you got to do that, right? We complained for years about how our coaches don't make good adjustments. He totally flipped the game plan, and even it would have been very easy to abandon that when you're down 10 points, and he didn't. We had that 9-minute drive where I think it was 12 runs and 3 passes when he threw the touchdown to Colby Young. I mean, to have that patience when you're down 2 scores, the offensive coordinator is itching to is looking at the clock, and you're running a lot of the time off, but he stuck with it and he just understood the game situation. That was really good coaching.
I think the biggest part about that drive was the fact that Clemson knew we were going to run it down their throats. We were going to keep running it, and they could not stop us. I know we had some big plays on third downs, and I believe we converted a fourth down on that drive as well. But you still stuck with the run, like you said, Coach Dawson stuck with the run. The offensive line did a hell of a job protecting Emory and being able to open up some, a little bit here and there. And you saw even AJ Allen bust like an 8-yard run. You saw Don Chaney bust an 8-yard or a 10-yarder as well. So you did get a couple of these chunk quote unquote chunk plays. But man,
and that drive was
the run on that was unbelievable.
And that drive was 15 plays, 75 yards in 9 minutes. When you're down 2, again, having that patience,
Right.
and that's what put Emory into a positive passing positions, because even throwing on 1st and 10 isn't great, but when the touchdown he threw, 3rd and 3, we're in the Clemson, I think inside their 20. Yeah, we're on their 11.
Right.
And they have to play the run. It's 3rd and 3. They know we can, if they try to play the pass, they leave their safeties back. We're going to be able to get 3 yards, or we'll go for it if we're just short or whatever, and then get it on the. So they have to come up. That gives them the one-on-one coverage. And man, starting with that throw on that one, I think he threw, because you mentioned Colby dropped one, but he threw like 4 or 5 passes that were just on the dot, including I think it was like a 3rd and 20 on the field goal drive to tie the game where he fitted into the zone. That's when I'm like, all right, now he's got to go in, because he was inaccurate in the first
on
half.
that in route, right? The in route.
Yeah.
I think it was like 3rd and 14 or something.
Yeah,
like
it was 3rd and long, and
Yeah.
he put it right on the numbers inside their zone, and I don't think they expected him to be able to do that. It was 3rd and 13, yeah. So I mean he really grew into the game. With that said, we need TBD.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like this is a great.
That's not a knock on Emory.
No. I think we see why. Again, remember TVD the first time he played, it was like, this kid lost out there. He's played so much football now. Of course, he's gonna have more confidence.
And he also played against Alabama. I mean, that's.
Well, no, did he come in that game?
Yeah,
I feel I thought De'Aaron finished that game.
In that game. He was wearing number 19. I'll never forget.
Oh boy. But yeah, I mean, great job by Emory. Just again, like you said, sticking with it. He made a lot of big time throws in the 4th quarter after he struggled through most of the game. Just having that confidence. Obviously, he's got a lot of maturing to do as a quarterback, he's a true freshman, but the potential's there.
Absolutely,
the potential's absolutely
there.
But
you notice, right? Like if TVD plays in that game and he plays half decent, we steamroll Clemson.
Well, I mean, this was. I think that's the thing. And shout out to Pimp Down in the chat, one of our. Friends of the show.
Fans, the crowd was popping last night.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. But to your point, it was pretty apparent who the better team was, and it was not Clemson. And this was not like an upset in the sense of woo, we got away with one. This was one where we physically dominated both lines of scrimmage, and the only reason the game was in overtime is because the officials gave them 9 points. Let's just be blunt about that. And we were playing the backup quarterback.
Yeah. And honestly, that last drive, I'm going to put that one again on Mario. I think that Mario was like, all right, chill. Let's just go. Let's just take it into overtime. I think we got this in overtime. And I say it's bad coaching because I feel like you had an opportunity to drive the football field and kick a field goal at the very least. But, hindsight, you look back and you're like, okay, it might have been the right call to, we're playing well. The defense is playing well. You give them that short field, that short yardage like that, and I think Miami can pull this off, especially with a better field goal kicker as well.
Yeah, and I think that was I would have also, I think it was a bad decision obviously when you win, everything feels like a good decision. If we'd lost that game, been like, we could have just tried to get 20 yards there. My issue with that was not at the point they gave up, because there was like 20 seconds left and they just ran the clock out. It was that it got to 20 seconds. We had almost 2 minutes when we got the ball.
Clock management.
And I understand at that point, the last thing you want to do is like have Henry Williams winging the ball all over the place, like around your own 30 and throw an interception and lose the game. You could have run the ball, run some of the sequences, and just gotten in and out of the huddle quicker and had another 20 to 30 seconds. Like the play, I want to say it was the first down play on that drive, or it was the 2nd and 4. There's 53 seconds left, right? When Chaney gets the first down. So they stopped the clock to get you to move the chains. Right. We didn't snap it until there was 26 seconds left. That's where I have an issue. Like, get those 30 seconds back. And still, you can still run the ball. You can still, because we still have the timeouts. You can still manage the game. You can play conservative. Like you said, we were already at the 40. You just needed like 15, 20 yards to try and bomb a field goal. Right. You got this great kicker. So that was my issue there, was kind of how we managed it. But once it was like, all right, 2nd and 10, there's 20 seconds left. We have the one. I mean, at that point, giving up at that point to me wasn't the issue, is that it got there. Like, we were in 4 plays in 2 minutes. I mean, that's not good when you're trying to get into field goal range. So that was my issue kind of with that end sequence. But I get, to your point, I get why he was doing it. Often these overtimes become a game of kickers. Their kicker stinks, although, of course, yesterday right down the middle on both of his field goals. But I get what he was trying to do. He's like, you know what? There's a good chance we just go to overtime, they don't score a touchdown, they'll miss the field goal, and then we just kick a field goal and win. I get it, but it was a kind of a missed opportunity to put the game away.
Absolutely. And
shout out to Melissa.
Yeah, what's up, Mel? And I think that, look, and I'm gonna, it's a good segue because, I just feel like Mario and that whole staff had so much confidence in the way the defense was playing, that it made it an easier decision, I guess, at the end of the game there to go into overtime. So I have to, of course, everybody's going to just talk about Ruben Bain, and rightfully so. I mean, he was the best player on defense, hands down, yesterday, with 8 tackles, 2 sacks, and a tackle for a loss, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, he had an unbelievably ridiculous game, especially for a freshman, but just for a player, period. All around, against a tough offensive line, against a big-time ACC opponent, he showed out. But that whole defense, Leonard Taylor, finally, we spoke about it, Vish, right? How he hasn't showed up at all, right? During the whole entire season. It's just been kind of like every once in a while he'll make a nice play. He was causing havoc all night last night, and you saw that. You finally saw Leonard Taylor kind of get that mean streak, that nastiness, and pretty much dominate that line. And I love to see that from him, because that's exactly what we were looking for from this kid who's, the number 1 defensive tackle coming out 3 years ago. I think you needed to see that this could be a stepping stone for him, an opportunity for him to continue to grow and to finally play the way he was supposed to. But let's talk about the biggest screw up of the game. That was a damn safety at the end.
Come on,
man. Come on.
I don't even understand.
When Eric McLean is talking about it on Twitter and saying,
well, not just that, like, ironically, like,
I only say him because he's going to be on the show.
Yeah, we're going to have Emac on in a bit. But the funny thing is, like, even on the ACC, they do those condensed game highlights. Like, they literally cut right after the commentators, like, that's going to be a safety. And then, like, they don't explain what – I still don't – did the guy ever – because we were all at the game and you can't always hear. Did they actually say how they possibly – he ran into the end zone on his own. Like, what are we doing here?
The idiot referee said, call Sands, and he kept going because he knows what's up. Like,
it's just – it's an egregious call. And then they gave them – they gave them the touchdown on – I think it was probably a touchdown. It looked like his knee might have hit a split second before his foot. When that guy's a beast, by the way. The catches he was making, Clemson's tight end.
Oh yeah.
Stool, or that dude was a beast. But, like, if you're going to use this, like, egregious standard of evidence to overturn a call, you can't give them that touchdown. Like, that was much clearer safety than that was a catch.
Right.
It's just, to me, there's 2 standards of officiating right now, and it is
what it is. We don't want to be that that team of those fans that are like, the referees suck. but it's just so blatant. It's so obvious how screwed up they are and how many mistakes they're making on the field on a nightly basis, on a game by game basis. And I don't know what's going on in the ACC around, but in our games, they are either setting up the worst teams, the worst group of referees, or there's something personal going on with this team, because it's absolutely egregious what's happening on some of these plays that they're calling these penalties. And it's, quite frankly, I understand the frustration with the fans, with the players, with everybody, because at some point there's a breaking point, man, for people. And if you continue to do this, and I don't know if you noticed this, I noticed this every time we made a play, or every time we hit a first down or got good yardage, it always felt like the ref grabbed the ball and moved the ball back a little bit.
There was definitely some I would say lost yardage on some of our spots on some of those. It felt like we were losing a half yard the whole game. Melissa in the chat said they gave him forward progress. I think that's what their justification is, just like their justification.
Was no forward progress.
So no, he ran backwards on his own.
So
and again,
progress, it's backwards.
Yeah, which if you go backwards on your own, just like when a receiver catches the ball and goes backwards, you don't get the progress to where you caught it.
Right.
It's the same thing here. And keep in mind, if the nose of the football is just touching the front of the goal line, it's the same thing as scoring a touchdown. You are in the end zone. Right. He was at the goal line before he even got touched. He ended up landing a yard deep in the end zone.
Yeah.
You could forward progress him to the goal line. It's still a safety.
Right.
Like, I mean, it's just a terrible call. Terrible call. Also, shout out to Darryl Porter. He continues to just lock it down so much they don't really even throw at him.
Jaden Davis, they're picking at him, and he still did a really good job as well. I know that he was up against a receivers like 6'4" the whole night, but I think both corners did a great job. Yeah,
I'll tell you who did a great job in coverage, and it didn't really show up because their tight end was so good. KJ Cloyd was sticking to like that
first touchdown pass.
I mean, that's such good coverage. Like, no, that's what I'm saying. It didn't show up in the stats because their tight end is that good.
Right.
But man, he stuck to him like glue. He was all over him on these plays. Guy's catching it anyway. I'm like, you can't cover better than that.
Yeah, there's not much you can do.
I was really impressed because he struggled a little bit the last few weeks. He kind of came back and had a good game. And then, man, what else can you say about Corey Flagg? Not just the last play. It looked like he was in their huddle. They threw that screen, like that bubble screen in the fourth quarter, and he jumped it.
Yep.
He diagnosed their plays so well. Like, it looked like he knew the plays before they were called.
At some point you just gotta call it what it is, man. And Corey Flagg has been an incredibly good linebacker for this team it feels like it's 10 years here for the program already, but it's a really good player, man. Really good player, and I think he deserves more credit than he's getting. And I know we've got Blue as his number one fan, like his biggest fan, but with good reason. I mean, he's played his ass off, and this year, with the talented guys that we have, Maui Noah looked really good. He's the one that got that sack for the safety safety. But you saw him. I mean, he hit some of those gaps and destroyed Will Shipley or Maffa in the backfield a couple times. I mean, he looked really good, but West looked really good on a fumble recovery. You even saw, like you said, KJ Cloyd in there looking really good this last night. But Corey Flagg was just all over.
Yeah, and we should really you mentioned a lot of guys. We should really talk about the run defense because this was the number one run defense in the country. North Carolina ran all over us.
Yep.
Clemson, 34 carries, 31 yards.
0.9 yards per
Amazing job by the run defense there. It was like they got it back and like you said, we don't even have Mesidor in there.
No Mesidor, no Nigel Leak. Oh,
that was another Anthony in the chat here talking about the calls. There was a huge call in the first overtime where they called. I thought they said number 9, so I thought it was Nigel. Was it not him? They give the wrong number, but they called us for lining up in the neutral zone.
It was on flag.
Okay, they said 9, but I guess it was. So where we're sitting, like when the ball's like between the 20 and the 30 go in that direction, we can see right up the line. Clemson lines up offsides on every freaking play. And I was telling my sister was sitting next to me, I was looking down the line. I'm like, look, you can see he's like across the. I don't know what's going on with Jazz here, but
I'm sorry, man, but this is what's good about doing a Sunday morning show. We need to do this more often.
did Pastelito show up or something?
Look at this, man.
Oh man,
some nice breakfast here by the lovely fiance. What is this? Oh my god, oatmeal, bagel with eggs and some cheese on it. I mean, listen, Vish, you're gonna have to come over for Sunday breakfast when you're in town more often because every time I hang out, Sheena must like you a lot because she like does all these nice things for me when I'm like hanging out or talking to you. So,
well, I'll take credit for it. I don't think I should get it, but
I think you need to. Think you need to come by so you can enjoy it as well. So I'm not gonna eat it on camera. Don't worry. I'm not gonna eat it on camera.
I think you know the joke I was gonna make, but I'll keep that off screen.
But if you see one of these, you know why.
Where's Melissa's invite?
All right. No, yeah, you're in the chat, so you count too. You count too.
Yeah, what'd you think about this? Dabo totally like blame.
Typical Dabo.
I mean, what a dickhead. And by the way, if you look at that play, the run wasn't there, which is why he pulled it. They were trying to run off left guard.
They would have got stuffed. They would have got blown up.
Yeah, and that's why. And actually, it was a great play by Flag because West took the running back, so it theoretically should have opened up, but he had that red. I'll also say that the second down and goal defense where they kind of ran the tight end in motion,
right?
And they're trying the way we handed that off, and like everyone shifted over and picked their man up. So no, it was awesome defense.
That was huge.
That play is almost always a touchdown because someone screws up and everyone was right on it. We almost got an interception out of it.
That was awesome. I loved it. I mean, shout out to Lance Guidry, man. Mean, he had a plan. He made some adjustments in the second half as well, and it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. I was so excited to watch them play. It was fun to see. It was sometimes when the offense is not working and not moving up and down the field, you kind of just don't have. I'll get to it now. Jesus, Mel, my goodness, you just don't have the confidence in the defense to be able to stop them there's only so much that the defense can do. After a while, they're going to get tired. It wasn't the case this time because Miami was able to run the ball consistently and they were able to run the ball well. So it took a lot of time off the clock, which allowed the defense to rest, which allowed the defense to kind of get their air. And that's why you saw them play so well down the line at the end in overtime.
And that's why I was frustrated in the first half that we were throwing so much because I was like, it's fine if you run, lean on them, get the defense rest and punt. Because again, we talked about this even with that TVD was playing. Clemson could be undefeated, but they make so many mistakes, and they did. They fumble going in the end zone, fumble driving later, threw a pick. That's why they lose games, and we did a good job for once,
right? Not
being the team making all the mistakes, and that's what Clemson is. I mean, they lose games because of this stuff.
Absolutely.
Like they dominated Florida State, but they blew the game.
They got lucky that on that one strip sack that they recovered the ball.
Yeah.
Who was it that got that? Was that
I think it might have been. I think it was Manoa. Yeah.
Maybe
got the strip sack. Yeah, and then actually Shipley picked it up and gained yardage, so they ended up being able to make the field goal.
That's right.
Because it would have pushed him all the way back out.
That's another strong play. It's another good play by the defense. That's kind of stuff that you can't really.
Yeah, and we we had it was a good game plan and just executed it and made them earn yardage, which was big in this game. We did not give up all the chunk plays we had basically in every game. We'd given up several big plays. Did not do that here, and made them drive it. And I think got in the quarterback's head a little bit too.
Yep. I agree. All right. You want me to answer your question, Mel? I was there in the second half. I left midway through the third because I had a music festival for my best friend that I ended up not going to. I ended up watching the rest of the game at home because she got a little sick to her stomach, so we ended up staying home. But I wish I would have been there for the whole thing. But I'll be there next week, 3:30 p.m. against Virginia. Yeah, I'm tailgating. I'm staying to the end.
Jazz stayed at the end of the game challenge. So
that's what it is apparently at this point. But
yeah. I mean that. Also, shout out in the first overtime, James Williams that open field tackle on Shipley because again, it's short yardage, so everyone's compressed in the box. Usually, when you gap that, it's a touchdown, and he just made an awesome tackle.
And listen, if you look back at the replay on that play that you were talking about, where they kind of ran that sweep, that Jaden Davis, it might have.
It was close. It was close.
It was close. It might have been an interception. Just saying.
I think it probably bounced.
Yeah, but it was close.
If it was Clemson, they might have given him the pick. I don't know. There's no way we were getting that.
No, there's no way. I mean, it would have been tough even if it would have been called the other way and then they had to reverse it. So,
I mean, there was no way that was going to be an interception, even if he caught it clean and it was obvious. They just weren't going to. I mean, let's be real here. Like, I mean,
at this point,
like some of the. I mean, is it going to be clearer than Chaney's whole body lying on the ground when the guy rips the ball out? No. So, like, what? There's no way we were getting that call.
Look, we were talking about that, and we'll kind of end here with a couple.
Well, Anthony has a question on Ruben Bean,
and your guess is as good as ours.
Yeah.
But Miami just picked up a commitment from another 4-star edge guy / linebacker who has 70 sacks in the last 2 years, or his last 3 years of his football career in high school, and he's ranked a 4-star athlete, a 4-star as well, in Booger Pickett. So, we'll talk a little bit about that tomorrow. But look, these rankings systems, you can't really necessarily go by them so much. You're gonna get that. You're gonna get these guys that don't know what they're doing and how to rank. They can't go to all the games, so they just see some tape, or they just go based off of what other people say.
And a lot of it's also like offer list too. Like if Alabama and Georgia and everyone, then you get more stars. I mean, 4 stars is still very highly rated, so it's not like they had him as like a 2 star.
I mean, he was a really high 4-star, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's stupid. I don't know.
Semantics at that point. Good point by Melissa. I think this is the story of the game, just like because Clemson, not only had we not beaten them in 13 years, they just physically been superior to us.
Yep.
And it was the other way around this time. And look, they're not the Clemson of like Trevor Lawrence or anything right now, but
we could say we weren't the Miami of whoever back then.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, but I mean, like the Clemson teams that dominated us physically were better than this one. But I don't know that they were more physical than this one. What they lack is like playmakers on the outside. They don't have Travis Etienne anymore. They don't have like all these like stud receivers that have come through there. But up front, like this is a big offensive line that's physically pushed people around, including pushing Florida State around, and we kicked their butt.
It really did.
This is that strength program we're talking about. Like Feld's paying dividends. That this is where you see that.
Yeah. She knows watching a little bit of the game with me. She's like, when we won, she's like, "Who's that guy with a handlebar mustache? Who's that guy? He looks weird." I'm like, "That's a strength and conditioning coach, girl. That's the man right there. That's why we won this game, all right?"
that is why we won this game. We were physically stronger than them, and use that to dominate time possession by the end of the game. I mean, it ended the way it should have. They couldn't get 2 yards in 4 plays.
Yeah,
they couldn't get 2 yards in 4 plays.
That's what it's about right there. That's what it's
the stash.
Like when you see that. Look, let's be honest, right, Vish? Like when you see that, when you used to see that before in past seasons and past years, you're like, they're gonna score. This is like, no confidence in this team. Like when I was sitting there and I was watching it, I'm like, oh my god, they're gonna stuff this. They're gonna stuff this. They're playing so damn good, especially up the middle. So I was, I had the confidence. I was still nervous. I mean, if you're not nervous, you're crazy. But you're still nervous about it. But then when you see Corey Flagg make that play at the end. Which, by the way, I know we were talking about it a little bit, but that was just an idiot. He's just an idiot. He's
a jerk too. Even if that was the case, first of all, I don't think it was that he did not have the option to keep it because, like, Shipley carried the fake. Like, if you're supposed to hand to the running back and you don't, he's not like carrying the fake out and going opposite end like he did. Like, clearly there was at least some kind of an option to keep it. So what are we talking about?
That was
like it just. And second, even if that was the case, they would have then that's what you address in the quarterback room,
right?
Not in your press conference.
Whatever.
It's a jerk thing to do. And by the way, the run wasn't there. on that play, which is why he pulled it.
Right.
And they tried to, like we said, they tried to run that motion flood pass. We stopped that. They tried to run up the middle. We stopped them twice. Like they didn't have it. They were physically outmanned. And when you're physically outmanned, as we know, we saw it last year, right? Why can't we finish drives? It's because when you're not in the red zone where everything's compressed, if you cannot move the defense, it is hard to score. And we saw that so much last year. It's like, why can't we get to the 5 and get to the 10? We can't score touchdowns. Now we can score touchdowns. You saw A.J. Allen. He can score. In fact, we had, first and goal on the 4 or whatever. One play, we're in the end zone. He runs it in. That's what being physical and being able to run the ball can do. And they couldn't. Like we said, 34 carries, 31 yards. There wasn't a good play. There's not a good play to call on the 2-yard line when your offensive line can't block. So, he can blame the quarterback all he wants. Yeah.
It really is.
It's a role reversal from what we're used to.
Yep.
And got the win. And I feel, this program, this team deserved that win.
They did. And you can see the it's almost like the relief from Mario as well. The joy and the passion, but also a little bit of the relief that they finally got this big one. I feel like this one's bigger than Texas A&M, if you ask me.
It is because of what Clemson means within the ACC pecking order. And again, 13 years. Not only 13 years since we've beaten them. That was when I went into Clemson. Ja'Cory Harris lit them up.
Right.
Like that's how long ago that was. But also, these games haven't even been competitive. It's been blowout after blowout after blowout. In fact, we've lost 4 in a row before yesterday. You could add up our point totals from all 4 of those games, and their individual total from each of the 4 games would have beat our cumulative.
Yeah,
that's how bad it was. Like they scored more points than we did combined in each of those games. So to come out there and not just like you said, not just win, but yes, it was double overtime, but physically dominant.
Wow,
big deal. I can't tell if we're being trolled or if we're.
Listen, man. If
we'll assume this is on good authority, man. Thanks for tuning in from Africa.
Appreciate it, man. I just feel like nobody here is going to say anything about chaps. Say Africa chaps. So
well, it was a chaps and a lads.
And a lads.
I don't know if he's doing a bit or if he's actually from Africa, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
I'll take it either way. I'll give him the benefit.
Yeah, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't want to accuse someone if he's actually doing it. So that's awesome, though.
Right? We've got some guys from Kenya and stuff like that.
That was on the one F1 Spaces we did, yes.
Shout out to our friends in Africa, man. We appreciate it. Thank you, Martin. That's awesome.
Miami's worldwide. Shout out to Martin. It's a big win, and physically dominated is the big thing. And then the other thing is, I mean, look, we know we have a good kicker. He made 2 clutch pressure-filled field goals.
Yeah, he did.
Okay, he's definitely not trolling us. Martin stuff.
Love it. Yeah. You're definitely not trolling us.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. No. Definitely. And that's the thing. Like Clemson was full strength. They were healthy. They're coming off a bye.
I think the only guy they were missing was Xavier Thomas on the line. That's it.
Yeah, but they were coming off a bye week.
Yep.
And again, it was almost 2-1 time of possession. That's where the games went.
It's pretty big. That was pretty big. I got to give it to him. So Miami wins 28-20 in double overtime against Clemson. Finally, after 13 years of struggling against this team, Miami looked dominant. They looked really good, even with Emory Williams in there getting his first start under center. So shout out to the whole entire team. I think they oh, look at that. I'm from Botswana. My cousin was at the U in the 80s and used to tutor some Canes. Man, this is amazing. I love that. You got Canes worldwide for real. Like for real. Like this is
it's a global school.
It really is.
Brand. This is awesome. Shout out. Thanks, Martin, for jumping in here.
Very cool. That is very cool. Martin, make sure you tune in. I know by the time we go on,
our decision to do an impromptu Sunday morning show allowed Martin just
worked
to see
out.
It.
We might have to do it more often so that Martin can see most of them.
But there's
I'm sure he watches them later on. He's a rewatch crew kind of guy. But yeah, that's awesome, man.
But also there is a podcast feed. You can get it in your audio and listen at your leisure in your own time zones. So
absolutely,
definitely subscribe to that.
We got some cool stuff coming up for you too. We've got a big week.
Shout out to Anthony showing up in the chat here.
We've got. I didn't like to announce it earlier, but Eric McLean is going to be on the show this week, so that's going to be fun talking to him about this game. And look, it's a 5-2. It's a 5-2 program now. Now we're 5-2 this year. You know, a lot of people didn't see us at 5-2 right now in the first 7 games.
Well, certainly not the way we arrived at it.
Yeah, no kidding, right? I mean, if you think about
it's been a long and winding road to 5-2.
The teams we beat, maybe look, the North Carolina game, I get right. That's kind of like the only game that I can kind of like as a wash. But like, you're talking about losing to a Georgia Tech team that we should have won that game. Obviously, too many things happened, but you're talking about a team that probably should be 6-1. All right, but let's just give it a 5-2 again, and winning big games like Texas A&M and Clemson, and now you move into you're still playing ACC football, right? I know you're 1-2 in ACC right now, but you start stringing up some of these wins.
I mean,
you still got an opportunity if if Louisville or UNC drops another one and you beat Louisville as well. You've got to obviously take on Florida State. You still got some tough games. Virginia's tough. I know they're 2-5, but that's a tough team that just beat a top 10 program.
Exactly.
NC State that always gives us a hard time after that. But
that's
you're talking about a 5-2 team. In the first 7 games, GT lost to Boston College. So the ACC, to me, if you ask me, it's still kind of wide open. I think we can continue to beat each other up. So you just win your games, and you got an opportunity to get into a really good bowl game and possibly into the ACC championship. You kind of control.
Yeah, it'll take a lot going right to get in the ACC championship. There's a lot of 1-loss teams, and with the open.
Look what Pip Down says. I'm sorry, he threw me off. There's enough games where no gas money to get home.
Jesus,
I feel like that with Canes were also, man. I
mean, don't even get started on like Melissa's performance there. With the open ACC schedule, like the schedules are all unbalanced. The tiebreak when 4 teams end up tied for second place, I don't even know how they're going to do a tiebreaker when no one played anyone, but it's gonna be a mess. But all the Canes, like you said, can do is take it. Look, for the Canes to realistically get into the ACC championship, they have to win out, which includes, like you said, Virginia is all of a sudden able to beat good teams on the road, right? And then at NC State, at Florida State, Louisville, and then Boston College. Like that is. Look, I don't care if this team somehow takes us to 10-2 and gets like. Whether they win the tiebreakers or who gives a crap. I mean, at that point, it's just like, wow. But I think that's probably not realistic. But again, it's just like you said, you can still get to a really good bowl game. And that's why it's important to win games like this. As much as, yes, should have kneeled against Georgia Tech. Right. These things do balance out, even if that one was self-inflicted. Like, easily could have lost last night, obviously. Right. And these things tend to even out. Which is why you don't want to get into close games with teams like Georgia Tech or like North Carolina found out yesterday, Virginia, because you get in the fourth quarter, if it's tight, then things can happen. You get a bad bounce. Certainly the refs can blow a call. Just so
Anthony, we mentioned it earlier.
Yeah, we did talk through this.
I'm sure you're just gonna go back and watch it, but yeah, we had an issue with it as well. So just kind of go check that out. So, hey man, I gotta go eat my breakfast. By the way, Mel, we might have to do like a Fit Friday, Fit Friday with Mel or something like that. Because obviously, yes, your fit was fire. So I might have to do like a Fit Friday, little segment and put it up on Instagram and on Twitter as well. So, Mel, we might have to talk about that later. All right. Keep it locked for that. But anyways, we've got a show tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. We will kind of recap a little bit about Clemson with the guys, with Blue and with DJ, but also kind of look ahead. Our Blitters just having irrational confidence every game. So yeah, it's typical.
I think it's going to be interesting. I mean, I know we're wrapping up here, but when we play FSU, I'm kind of in Martin's camp here. I kind of feel like I think we can pop their ass.
I think so too. I'm definitely in the same camp. So keep a lock for that. And obviously we'll preview Virginia game Saturday. It is set for 3:30 p.m. already. So, if you are in town, make sure you get ready to go to that one. That's another big game. Every game is big now in the ACC. So We'll preview that, and we'll have Eric McLean on as well for a special segment that will be podcast only. It will probably be a podcast only segment, so make sure you all subscribe wherever you get your podcasts on the Six Rings Canes podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you keep it locked there. Follow us on Twitter at Six Rings Canes, and of course, Monday night, 8:30 p.m.
Yeah, and then just also, Jazz, real quick, I am going to be in Charlotte for the ACC basketball tip-off.
Awesome.
Tuesday and Wednesday, so I will be putting content just on the podcast feed for that. There's not a good place that we'll be able to record from. We're doing a YouTube, so plus it would just be me talking to camera. But so definitely, again, subscribe to the podcast because you're going to get a bunch of content there. Eric McLean interview, all the stuff I do at the ACC basketball tip-off for women's is Tuesday, men's is Wednesday, and as Melissa said, buckets on Thursday.
Hey, listen. Women's basketball is ranked 25th in the country in the preseason poll. Men's basketball is number 13 in the country. Both have solid teams again after Elite Eight and Final Four appearances, respectively. So make sure you check that out. That's some good stuff there.
Yep. Busy week on the channel. So make sure to subscribe to the podcast and watch us on YouTube because some of the content goes into both places. Jazz is ready for breakfast.
Breakfast time. Oh shit! Almost dropped. All right. I'm out of here. I'm done.
That's a great way to end it, man. All right, yeah, tune in tomorrow for the main show at 8:30 p.m. Eastern.
See you guys.
The Six Ring Cane Show. Yeah. The Six Ring Cane Show. Yeah. The Six Rings Cane Show. You know.